This time next week will officially be game day eve for the BYU football program. A week away, what do we actually know about Kalani Sitake and the Cougars? We're talking about it on today's show.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jake Hatch, your host here on Locked On Cougars, resident BYU insider. Thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first view and or listen of the day, and appreciate all of you who are everydayers with us right here on your original daily podcast focused on the BYU Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Ultimate GM. They have a new game called Ultimate College Football HC. Brand new mobile game is completely free, has no ads, and is 100% playable offline. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB for all caps inside the game to receive a free boost to your program. Begin your coaching legacy today. All right, let's dive right in on today's show. As I mentioned in the open, we are a week away from BYU kicking off the 2024 campaign, and hopefully my voice is 100% by then. Apologies if it sounds scratchy, but had some allergies that have moved into my vocal cord, so it sounded like a dead duck, it feels like. But nonetheless, BYU is getting closer and closer to the start of a season that I think is very, very important for setting the groundwork of what the future of BYU is going to be in the Big 12 Conference. I don't say that lightly either. I look at this as an opportunity for BYU to essentially establish what the Cougars' identity is going to be as a member of the Big 12. There's a lot of moving parts going on in the college football universe. We all know this. There's always the looming threat of realignment out there, of changes that could obviously affect BYU in a very real way if they come to fruition. But the other thing is, BYU has to simply focus on what they can control. The whole adage of control the controllable. What can BYU control at this point? Their effort, their overall performance this season. That's what they can control. And they need to go out there and focus on this. Now, there's a lot of question marks around this program. There's a lot of position battles that are still unresolved, none bigger than the quarterback position battle. Is it going to be Jake Retzloff or is it going to be Gary Bohannon? Nobody knows at this juncture. Like I said, I'm leaning more towards Jake right now, but ask me in a couple of days, even though some of you think I'm casting shade at Gary, I think it could be Gary Bohannon's job in time as well. I anticipate that we will find out the final word on those position battles when BYU takes the field against the Southern Illinois Salukis. One thing I do know about BYU, though, as they head towards this season, is they are very intent on not letting the failures of last season happen. Reiner Swanson was on my radio show when I produced DJ and PK on the KSL Sports Zone, and we played it, and he had a very interesting anecdote in it. He was talking about, he said, we're not freaking messing around, speaking of BYU this season. Then he lifted the lid on a little thing that I thought was very curious. He said, talking to guys about last season, the little things fell by the wayside midseason, guys showing up late to meetings and the like. And he said that stuff really affected BYU. I had heard a little bit about that last season, that there were certain issues within the program that were not allowing BYU to fully focus on the task at hand. I think BYU learned some very, very tough and real lessons a year ago in the Big 12 Conference. And yes, if guys weren't showing up to meetings on time, that's a big deal. You got to have guys who are fully engaged, 100%. They got to be all in with this program. If their focus is elsewhere, whether it's potentially on their NFL future for certain guys, or if something else is distracting them, that's going to affect the overall performance of the team. You have to have guys who are unified and locked in with one another. I understand, and based on what I've heard this year, is this is a far more unified team than it was a season ago. Why wasn't it unified a season ago? That's anybody's guess. I try and give truth serum to any one of the members of the BYU football program, and I'm not going to venture a guess that they would really give me the true answer, but there's little hints here and there. And for Reiner Swanson, who was not a member of the program a season ago, to have heard this and to say that, hey, we're not, he's used the term, we're not freaking messing around. I think he understands what's at stake here. I don't think that he's alone in that. I think this BYU program, guys like Connor Pay, understand there is a very, very big microscope on this program right now by Cougar fans and by the media / general college football fan base at large. They want to know if BYU can thrive at the Power 4 level. They want to see if the Cougars can truly compete. BYU's picked to finish near the bottom of the conference. I think it was CBS Sports had put out their experts picks, and the highest BYU's pick to finish was 12th out of the 16 teams. A bunch of the guys had them 14th in their polls. So BYU has to look at this as an opportunity to go out there and have very little in terms of hype. A lot of people that are naysayers down on them, really thinking that they're going to struggle. I think there was a projection from CBS Sports once again that had BYU going 3-9 on the season. That would be an abject failure to see BYU go that poorly. And I think that the BYU program, I'm talking coaches, behind the scenes staff, players, everybody involved, they are all intent on showing that they are a better football team than what they showed a season ago. They came up agonizingly close to finishing up with a 6th win a season ago. Remember, it was double overtime, an absolutely critical fumble in double overtime that cost BYU the game against Oklahoma State. Also had Oklahoma on the ropes in Provo in the regular season finale the week before that. Then some circumstances being what they were, they lost that momentum. It feels like the whole perception of BYU would be a whole lot different right now had they gotten to 6-6 a year ago. That would have, I think, marked that, hey, this is a team that's got some fight in them. Had they been able to grind out one of those final 2 games on the year, would anybody really be satisfied? No. But the fact that they lost 5 straight to end the season, went 5-7, missed out on the bowl season, that's left a bitter taste in literally everybody's mouth. And I think that the BYU Cougars are expecting and anticipating that they're going to, quote unquote, right some of those wrongs this year. I'm very interested to see how it all goes. Obviously, it starts with Southern Illinois, and they're the 11th ranked team in the FCS preseason poll. How good really are the Salukis? Could BYU be on upset watch in terms of those annual FCS upsets? It's one you got to monitor if you're the Cougars. The bigger thing is BYU's got to just monitor themselves and go out there, and as Reiner Swanson said, focus on the little things. Control those controllables. Do the things that you know are going to lead to success. Don't let them fall by the wayside. Because if they do again, well, guess what? As most of their coaches have been telling these players all off season long, you want to go 5-7 again? Keep doing what you're doing right now. BYU has to elevate the way that they're operating inside this program. And it's going to take effort. It's going to take work. It's going to take some bounces of the ball going your way to have the success that BYU envisions for themselves. But the biggest thing they can do is they can go out there and, as Jim Harbaugh likes to say, play with fanatical effort. I think that could go a long way to helping BYU if everybody in this program is on the same page, pulling in the same direction, and they're unified. We'll see if I'm wrong about that. But I look at this as a big, big opportunity for BYU now just a week away. There's a lot of unknowns. Trust me. I wish I could tell you guys who the starting quarterback is going to be. My practice insiders, it feels like every other day are telling me, hey, it's Jake today. The next day, it's Gary. It really feels like it is coming down to the wire, and BYU will have to figure it out in very short order. But the nice part is it's not far away from the season and those games that really matter. And our referendum on what BYU ultimately is, well, we're all about to find out just 7 days away from today. It'll be game day eve. All right. A guy that I think could have an outsized role for BYU, especially at tight end, that may not be on your radar per se, is a guy we're going to talk with next. He is not getting the pub that some of his other teammates are getting, like a Reiner Swanson, like a Keanu Hill. But don't be surprised if you see his name featured quite prominently this year in BYU's offense. We'll talk with him next, right here on Locked On Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Ultimate GM and Ultimate College Football HC. Now, what Ultimate College Football HC is a way for you to have some fun when it comes to acting as if you're the head coach, let's say, of the BYU Cougars. That's the best part about this. It's an amazing game and simulation. Help you step in the shoes of a head coach and lead your college program to glory. Can you imagine actually being the head coach of BYU or any one of a number of other programs, from recruiting players and hiring coaching staff to overseeing training camps, handling school scholarships? You control every crucial detail of your program. And the best part is you also are responsible for calling offensive plays during the game as well. Your strategy will not only determine the success of your football season, will also shape the future and legacy of your program as well. It is completely free. Speaking of, Ultimate College Football HC has no ads and is 100% playable offline. You can play on the go as you want and when you want. And of course, we have a special offer for all of you Locked On Cougars listeners. Use the promo code Locked On CFB. That's LOCKEDONCFB, all caps, inside the game to receive a free boost to your program. Make sure to take advantage of this perk. It will get your team off to a strong start. Download the game now by going to ultimate-collegefootball.com ultimate-cfb.com. That's ultimate-cfb.com, or you look it up in the app stores as well. It's Ultimate College Football HC, and you can begin your coaching legacy today. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Appreciate all of you for being with us here. If you've not done so already, make sure you check out Locked On College Football every single day as your second listen. It's a really fun way to get caught up. We've done a lot of previews over the past week on the Locked On College Football channel, talking SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and also the Big 12, of which BYU is a member. If you want to get all the intel that you can handle, check it out. It's Locked On College Football, available wherever you get your podcast, also on YouTube. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. All right, let's talk BYU tight ends. I had a great chance earlier this week to catch up with Ethan Erickson, BYU tight end, a guy that I think is going to play a sleeper role, as it were, with these BYU tight ends. Keanu Hill and Reiner Swanson have really kind of stolen the headlines with this position group. And it's a position group that Aaron Roderick has said that 6 and as many as 8 guys could make the travel squad from this tight end unit. You got Mata'ava Ta'ase, you got Ray Paulo, you got Mason Fakahua, you got a bunch of guys who have been around this program for quite a while, who are intent on proving themselves and obviously earning playing time on the football field. Well, Ethan Erickson is no different. Remember, not that long ago, it feels like maybe 2-3 seasons ago, he was kind of anointed as the heir apparent to Isaac Rex. Then injury concerns kind of cropped up, and he's really been playing in a reserve role as he's dealt with those injury concerns. Well, I had a chance to catch up with him earlier this week as BYU got close to wrapping up training camp to talk about the transition now into game week mode and a whole lot more as he looks to prove himself on the football field once again with Cougar fans watching him. So without further ado, here you go, Ethan Erickson with myself right here on Locked On Cougars.
Now as you get towards the tail end of training camp, start to transition into game week, how's it been overall?
Yeah, it's been great, having a lot of fun, having a blast with the boys. We're working hard. You know, we're looking forward to that first game, training hard, and you know, a lot of people have shown up and they're doing their jobs, and you can tell that the off-season training's been working. You know, we're a lot bigger, a lot more physical than we were last year, a lot smarter. Our IQ's gone up, our football IQ for sure has gone up, and then just our overall drive and desire has intensified a lot.
Well, you dealt with injury last year, so does it mean more to you that the fact that you're back out here and participating fully finally?
Yeah, it's been a blessing to be back, because you know, you never know what happens with injury, you never know what play can be your last play. And so this last off season, I kind of had that realization of, like, you know, this game could be taken away. I've been playing it for 15 or so years. Like, it's been my life, and so realizing how quickly that can get taken away, I just got that drive and desire to be back and want to be back. And so I keep having that chip on my shoulder, like I haven't proven anything yet, and I want to. And so it's a dream come true to come back.
So I can remember early on in your career, we were talking with Aaron Roderick at one point, and he kind of anointed you as a kind of almost like an heir apparent to Isaac. How you were a like-for-like replacement. Since then, you've dealt with those injuries. Do you feel like you're back to where you were before you started dealing with the injury concerns you had?
I feel like I've become a player a more well-rounded player than before. Because before I was more of like a wide receiver build. I was a little skinnier. I was only about 225, 230. Okay. And they would just put me into run routes. And now that I've come back, I was able to put on weight. So I'm up to about 245 now. And so I've become a more well-rounded, able to go down, put my hand in the dirt and run block better, as well as pass block as well. But I'm still able to go downfield. And so I feel like a better tight end than I was last year.
So you feel like a true tight end, I guess, is the best way to say it. Okay. Now, in terms of the roles you guys play as a tight end unit, there's a lot of bodies in that room.
Yeah.
How has it been associating with guys like Reiner, who's 17 years old over there, and then you've got other guys like you who are more veteran voices?
Yeah. I mean, it's been interesting. There's been a lot of learning. So with those young guys, like, you know, we've got Reiner, Anthony, those young guys coming in, they've been able to learn from us. But then with Coach Gilbride coming in, he's definitely he's gotten us all to the same level, and that's why our IQ has gone up so much in football. And so I've learned more this year than I have the last 3 years that I've been here. And so with that, he's training us all to be the best tight end that we can be. And instead of putting us all into boxes like, you're the best blocker, you're the best route runner, you're the best this and that, and we're going to put you in just solely to do that, it's more of, we're training you all to be the most well-rounded tight ends that you can be, so we can put in anybody anywhere, and you're going to know what to do.
You talk about it's the most you've learned in 3 years. What is it about Coach Gilbride that has caused that?
Just his NFL experience.
Okay.
You know, he's been to the most recently with the Panthers, but he's been with the Giants and elsewhere. He's just got so much knowledge under his belt that he's just starting to share with us, and it's just a different view, kind of like when you You need a fresh set of eyes.
Okay.
And so that's what we've been able to get. And then as well as Coach Woods, he's helped us with our run game and educated us on why we're doing what we're doing and what everybody else is doing. He's gotten us in a room all together and showed us this is what the line's doing, this is what the tight ends need to do, this is what the running backs are reading. And so we're all on the same page and that it's coherent throughout. And so that's why I feel like I've gotten that IQ up.
Now, you talk about how you've come in, you're learning to be just a more well-rounded player. What did you work on the most while you were out? Was it the mental reps? Like, what were you working on mainly?
Yeah, so a lot of it was mental, but I wanted my run blocking to be better.
Okay.
Because being 225, 230, you get bounced around like a pinball. And so that was something I wanted to make sure I could come back and hold my own. And so I was working on that as well as making sure that I know the offense like the back of my hand. And so that's something that I've been kind of focusing on and making sure that I can not only help myself but as well help anybody around me that's like, hey, what am I doing? Like I could just tell them what they're doing and not have to worry about it.
Now, we're lucky enough as media corps to come out here and watch you guys practice and everything. And I remember coming out here and I saw number 87 running around. I'm like, hold on, I've seen that number before. And I had to look it up. I'm like, Ethan Erickson. Oh, Ethan's running with the ones again. He's back.
Yeah.
I think most BYU fans may have, quote unquote, forgotten about you.
Yeah.
Does that excite you, the fact that you're running with the ones here and getting your opportunity, maybe able to reintroduce yourself to BYU fans in a way?
I don't really think about that. I just
Okay.
think, I'm playing the game I love.
Got it.
I'm getting one rep at a time. When my number's called, I'm going up. And so I don't really think about what the fans think. I don't, whatever I did a few years ago, that doesn't really matter. All I'm focusing on is, what's coming up and what I can do to help better the team.
What's your confidence level in this offense this year?
100%, 110%. As high as the scale can go. I trust every single piece that we have.
Now, obviously it's been a quarterback battle, just kind of watching these go back and forth. What's it been like working with both Jake and Gary?
They're both just dual threats. They throw great balls, make good reads. It's definitely a battle. I don't even know who's going to be. You're going to have to talk to Coach Kalani about that.
We'll ask him, yeah.
But working with them, they're both great people, great quarterbacks, and then getting to know them on the personal level as well, like just deepening our chemistry. And so I'm going to be happy whoever we have.
Is there, because when you have a different quarterback, they have different styles of play, obviously. Does it take some adaptation, or do you feel like you just kind of just jump in there with whoever's at quarterback?
I feel like they're both just at such a high level that it doesn't matter who I go in with. I trust them that they're going to make the good reads and that they're going to know what to do. And so I don't really think about that much.
What are you looking forward to most about playing in Lavelle Edwards Stadium once again, just the season ahead in the Big 12?
The rock for sure.
Okay.
Seeing them doing the little back and forth rocking and like just the energy, feeling it, the lights, the tunnel. It's something that not many people get a chance to experience, and so I'm just so extremely blessed that I get to come back and play in there again. And regardless of what happens, I'm going to have a smile on my face and be happy that's happening.
There you have it, Ethan Erickson. Big thank you to him for taking the time to join us here on the podcast. And I think this is a guy who understands what he's going up against. He's obviously going to have to battle for playing time, but the good news is, I mentioned when I was in that interview, I've been looking up number 87 on the roster a lot during training camp. Oh yeah, it's Ethan Erickson. He is a guy who has got all the tools to be a standout for this BYU program. And considering that he's now healthy, it's not a big surprise that he's running with the ones right now. You've got Mata'ava Ta'ase out there. You've got guys like a Reiner Swanson and a Keanu Hill who are new to this position group. Jackson Bowers, just like Reiner Swanson, was a 4-star prospect not that long ago. And considering that he's working his way back from injury concerns, if BYU gets all these guys operating at peak efficiency, at their peak operating ability, that's a BYU tight end unit that can be very, very deep, very, very talented, and a big part of BYU's offense. And spare me the comments that will inevitably pop up. Well, Jake, Aaron Roderick doesn't target the tight end in his offense. Then why in the world are they recruiting so many of them? I think it's more about the quarterbacks than anything else. There are quarterbacks. I look no further than what Zach Wilson proved during that 2020 season with Isaac Rex, is that BYU, depending on who the quarterback is, they look at the tight ends as a safety blanket, or they prefer to be guys who like to throw it to the wide receivers. I think Jaron Hall was more of a guy who liked to look to the outside and throw it to his receivers. Now, can that be coached up? Can that be obviously schemed for? All of that can be done. But I think it's all about proving that you are capable, A, of getting open, B, making sure that you are secure with the ball. That ball security is paramount for success. And then also C, be a contributing member of winning football. If these tight ends prove to be that, like Ethan Erickson hopes to do and a bevy of other guys, that's going to help BYU be a better overall football team. And I think that would obviously bode well for BYU's chances in the Big 12 this fall. I'm looking forward to this. I'm very, very excited. As soon as my head hits the pillow at night, it's kind of funny. I haven't been sleeping well, but the reason why I've not been sleeping well, I'm thinking a lot about football. It's that time of year. High school football's ongoing. A crazy, crazy win last night for Corner Canyon over IMG Academy. But it is football season. And I, for one, I'm absolutely ecstatic. And I'm looking forward to seeing what guys like Ethan Erickson bring to the table for BYU in just a week's time. It's crazy. It's not that far off, but let's get it going here. All right. We'll finish up this Friday edition of the podcast with a couple of questions I did not get to on yesterday's podcast in our mailbag session as well. We talked a lot about Isaac Rex today in passing. Well, he's got some news about himself that we'll dig into next as well as we roll on right here on Locked On Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Now, all of us like to go out to events, whether you like to go to comedy, theater, sporting events, music, no matter what you're into, Game Time has got the tickets for you guys. That's why they have a new feature in their app called Game Time Picks, which makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets, find the right option for you guys. The best part is right now, you can go online and find anything you're looking forward to going to, whether you live here in Utah or anywhere else in the country. Game Time has got the options for you guys. You can use the app features of like your best seat available, all in pricing. Toggling that feature shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. You know exactly what you'll be paying. The best part is also the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you for seats. So take a guess. We're going to buy your concert tickets and any other tickets with our friends at Game Time right now. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the promo code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. That's Locked On College for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. If you've not done so already, please sign up for our Locked On Cougars Insider Group. It's a great way to interact with the show, get one-on-one conversations with myself, and get updates sent to you directly via text message. It's the best part about it is you're not having to sign into a website or go to a message board to get the inside intel that you crave. You can get it in the form of a text message coming directly to your phone. Click the link in the show notes. It says sign up for our Locked On Cougars Insider Group with a hyperlink there. Click on it, sign up. It's a 14-day free trial, just $5 a month afterwards, and hope that many more of you will join the burgeoning group of our Locked On Cougars insiders in short order. All right, as I mentioned, Isaac Rex has got some news. He was just signed by the Los Angeles Chargers. Now he's a Southern California kid from Orange County, so really cool to see him playing for a team close to home. They did waive, speaking of Los Angeles, Michael Mason to make room for Isaac Rex on the roster, and here's hoping that Isaac gets the best of an ability, best of an opportunity to go out there and prove himself. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh is a first-year head coach with the Chargers. There's a lot to look forward to with this. It's going to be interesting to see how Isaac fits in with this. I look forward to seeing how he fits in. He was did sign with the Detroit Lions as a free agent after the NFL draft. He was waived in May, and then he obviously worked out with the Chargers. Now has been signed by them. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do, and hopefully he can stick on that roster. In the very worst, maybe ends up on the practice squad. It'd be really cool to see him live that dream. Also, the BYU women's soccer team drew 1-1 with St. Louis on the road, getting a late goal in the second half to tie that game. Very close to coming away with a victory. BYU did drop in the national rankings this week, just one spot from number 3 to number 4, but they're still unbeaten on the season. So congratulations to the BYU women's soccer program. They are back in action tomorrow when they head to Long Beach State in California. That will be broadcast live on ESPN Plus at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. If you want to tune in and watch the Cougars take on the 49ers, if you want to look at that tomorrow evening. Now, final couple of questions before we go on today's show. Come from some questions I forgot to get to on yesterday's podcast. So great question here from Terry. It says, I got this. Has any particular running back shown to be better than the others in the passing game? I would say based on what I have perceived, it's Hinckley Rapati, and there's one reason. Hinckley Rapati was a slot receiver growing up. He knows what he's doing in the passing game better than most other running backs. I'm not saying that LJ Martin, Miles Davis, who's also a former wide receiver in his own right, are incapable. But you look at what Hinckley has brought in the past to BYU as a pass threat out of the backfield. I think he's been the best in the passing game. He also has this. Are any of them great pass blockers? Are any of them great pass receivers? Great pass receivers, I think all of them have the ability to catch the ball. I think Hinckley's chief among them. Pass blockers, I think that's TBD, because here's the deal. As a running back, you're going to be taking on guys who outweigh you, and you have to just put your nose in there, and it's an effort thing. There are guys who will shy away from contact, but then you don't play. So I think the LJ Martin, guys like Hinckley, Rapati, Miles Davis, even Pokai Hunga have shown moments that, you know what, I'm going to stick my nose in there. Yeah, and it's going to hurt a little bit. But the thing about it is you have to do that. You got to put on for your teammates and protect your quarterback with those pass protections. He also adds this. My other question would be about running back styles. For example, is there a specific third and short guy that's better than the others? Are there any speedy slashers that can break off huge chunks? Well, the speedy slasher is Miles Davis. You give Miles Davis a hole, he will exploit it. And he's got the speed to really just make it, make ground up very quick. My head's not on straight, apparently. But he is one of those slashers that if he gets his lane, he absolutely can chew up that yardage very quickly. Third and short, I would say it's probably LJ Martin. I know that Enoch Nawahine, before he got injured and he's been working his way back from injury, he's been a fairly capable guy on third and short situations. I think Sione Aimoa could also be that guy in a third and short situation, but it's a matter of pride, I think, for a guy like LJ Martin, who, if it's going to be third and short, he's like, give me the dang ball and get out of my way. I think he's absolutely intent on proving himself to be that guy. Great question here. Last year, BYU had 3.5 yards per rush. What do you think the average will be this year? Hopefully north of 4. Because if that is the case, BYU will be a far better team overall. Now, will I be wrong about that? Very well could be, but I hope that BYU is a better team running the football this fall, because that will take a ton of pressure off the quarterbacks. And also this question from Matthew, if you want one on basketball, would you take the over-under of 25.5 wins for the BYU basketball regular season? All right, their non-conference slate has 13 games. I think it works. They're 12-1. So if I did 25-5, oof. I would probably take the under just barely, because this Big 12 schedule, you'd have to win 12 of those games, I think, 13 of those games of a 20-game schedule to get to that number, it feels like in my head. I don't know. That seems a little bit tough for me. I'd say probably just under, like probably at 25. So just barely under on that over-under. That's a lot of wins. So that's an interesting question. So thank you for that one, Matthew. All right. Final question here. I'm going to get to it real quick. It comes from Josh and says this. I saw a poll going around from a legitimate media outlet about what BYU fans would rather have, a conference championship or a win over Utah. There are not an insignificant amount of respondents who voted that a win over Utah would mean more than a Power 4 conference championship. Your response to these good people, please. Are you crazy? You take the conference championship every day. Even if you lose to Utah, you take the conference title. You shove the fact that you won the Big 12 in their face. Winning against Utah, that's a big deal. Obviously, BYU is on a win streak right now. It's one game, but it's still a win streak. They haven't played in 3 seasons. But the thing is, BYU, you absolutely chase the championship. It's not just a lone win over Utah. You could do that and be 1-11. That could be the reality of it. You want the conference championship. So I know that, I think it came from it did. It come from ESPN 960. My good friend Ben Criddle and the crew over there. So interesting take. I'll just say that from that unit. All right. That's it. My voice is shot, so I'm going to sign off now. So thank you to all of you for bearing with my voice, and a big thank you to all of you for your support of the podcast as always. Have a great weekend. Come Monday, it is officially game week for all intents and purposes. Now, it's already that for BYU inside the football program, but for us, it means we're getting ready for Southern Illinois. Our first look at the Salukis. What did Kalani Sitake, or what will he have to say to the media? We got a lot to talk about, and we'll do it on a Monday right here on the Locked On Cougars podcast.